Kara with Ultra Modern Pool and Patio. This is going to be our first video of hopefully many of a cooking with Kara. Today we are going to make some ribs. I learned this recipe a couple of years ago at a cooking class we did, and kind of tweaked a little bit, but something has become a staple at my house. So I wanted to start with some baby back ribs. So I'm going to walk you through kind of prepping it and then using our Traeger to smoke them. So right now we're just getting them ready for seasoned and ready to go on the grill so that it can marinate overnight tonight and go on tomorrow. I've got these beautiful baby back ribs that were on sale at the grocery store today. Super excited about them. First of all, to prep, before we season and prep the ribs, we want to take this membrane off the back. If we don't, it'll become really chewy and kind of stringy once it's cooked. Helps keep them tender as well. It's kind of hard to get started. I've tried it with a knife and I end up just cutting through it. I found it's easier to do it with my hands. And of course I just washed my hands. So we're gonna peel this off. I've got 4 racks of ribs I'm gonna do today. So in this case today we are going to marinate them for overnight. Ideally you marinate them for at least 2 hours in the seasoning, up to overnight, but not more than a full 24 hours or anything like that. Be a little too much. Okay, so to season mine, I'm going to use the Traeger pork and poultry seasoning that Traeger makes. Love the seasoning. I'm super excited. I kind of change it up each time I do my ribs, but I usually pick something that is meant for pork in general. Something that has a little bit of sweetness to it generally, and good for pork. So second thing you're going to need is yellow mustard. I like to put the yellow mustard down first and I give it a nice layer and then come back with the seasoning to put on top of it. The mustard helps kind of add a level of moisture, but also helps the rub adhere to it. So this is kind of a messy process. We're going to do all 4 of these here real quick. So just a nice healthy squirt of mustard and rub it around. I really personally don't like mustard at all, but you cannot even tell there's mustard on these. In fact, I really don't like mustard, but you cannot tell that there is mustard involved in these ribs at all later. So, okay, got that rubbed around. Now we're going to take our Traeger pork and poultry here, if I can open it with my non-dirty hand. Okay, Traeger pork and poultry. Sprinkle it a nice healthy season. You know what? I'm just going to go straight for the open side. Make it easier on myself, and I'll spread it around with my already messy hand. Oops. So when I say healthy, I mean cover it completely. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And like I said, I'm no barbecue expert, but I love using my barbecue grills. So I'm hoping this can relate to other people out there, other guys, other women, anybody who wants to do some fun stuff on the grill. Here we go. So then we're going to we don't need mustard on the other side, but on the bone side we're just going to put another layer of the seasoning. I'm going to put these back in my pan, trying to keep my other pan still clean. And then we're going to do 3 more of these. Okay, so here are the seasoned ribs. I am going to wrap them up in foil and put them in the fridge overnight, but you can see how moist they look already, and that mustard kind of just sinks in with the seasoning to help create a moist rib for tomorrow. I'm super excited. So tomorrow we're going to put these on our grill at 250 degrees on the Traeger for 2 hours, and then we're going to wrap them in foil and add brown sugar and a little bit of apple juice. I like to add just a little apple juice so it doesn't really steam the ribs, but enough to kind of help keep them moist and to help soften them a little bit. And then we'll put them, after they're wrapped, back on the grill at same 250 degrees for another couple hours, and then we'll show you how to cut them up. Okay, welcome back. It's the next morning. These ribs marinated overnight, and we are going to go preheat the grill. We are letting these sit on the counter for a little bit to get them closer to room temperature, just so you're not putting really cold stuff right on the grill. So now join me. We're going to go out to the Traeger and get it started. Okay, today we are going to cook on our Traeger Pro 575. To get it started, we're gonna turn the grill on this button back here. And then we are going to hold the dial here and it's gonna get started. And then we're gonna go up to 250 degrees for these ribs. We're gonna do 250 for 2 hours unwrapped. And if you have a rib rack, you can definitely do that. So then we push the dial in to set the grill temperature and hit the ignite button and it will start preheating itself. We're gonna give this a few minutes to get up to temperature and then we're gonna bring those ribs out and put them on. Okay, we got the 4 ribs on there. We're gonna do, again, 250 for 2 hours like this, just flat on the grill, and then we'll come back in 2 hours and wrap them in foil and add some brown sugar and a little apple juice to finish them off. So 2 hours, here we go. Okay, we are ready to wrap up the ribs. I've got 2 pieces of foil laid out here kind of off-centered of each other so that I can fully wrap the ribs up. You could use butcher paper too. I have not worked with it yet, so I was gonna stick with foil because that's what I'm comfortable with. But I'm going to pull this first rib over. Here we go. Look how beautiful that looks. And it's a little off center here, so let's do that. There we go. And then what I like to do, I'm gonna take brown sugar and just spread it like a nice healthy layer of brown sugar across the whole top. And what this will do is it'll get sticky and sweet and kind of almost make a little bit of a barbecue sauce. And honestly, most of the time I don't eat these ribs with barbecue sauce at all because of all the great flavors and how this works. So, and how it kind of comes together with everything there. So we've got a nice layer of brown sugar. And then I don't do a lot of juice, just enough to kind of get it wet, because you don't want to get too much liquid in there because then it'll just steam the ribs. And you don't want ribs to just completely fall off the bone, but you want them to be tender, easy to come off the bone. So we got that first one wrapped. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3, and then we'll put them back on the grill for another 2 hours. Now I'm going to put these all back in the pan and head back out to the grill and put them back on for 2 more hours. Okay, now that we have them all wrapped up, we are going to put them back on the grill just like they were, flat with the bone side down. And we'll go for another 2 hours, still at the 250 degrees, and then they should be ready to go and nice and tender after 2 more hours. Okay, so we are just finishing up the second 2 hours of the ribs being wrapped. I'm going to pull them off the grill and let them rest for a few minutes, and then we'll unwrap them and get them cut up. And then we'll get to see some fun reactions as people try them. Okay, so I have these ribs brought in here. Well, here we go. We'll unwrap our first one here and see what it looks like. Ooh, see that little bit of smoke? They're juicy. Got some nice liquid in the bottom here. Okay, and the way I like to cut them is if you, ooh, they're hot. Flip this over. Here we go. Here we go. If you flip them over and look at the bone here, you can actually see the bones and cut right through them, as opposed to doing them on the other side where you can't see and hitting bone every time. So here we go. And that brown sugar makes a nice little caramelization and sticky sauce on there. You know, you don't usually want them to fall off the bone like this, so these are probably a little over, but they're still going to taste really good. You want them to be tender, but not necessarily falling completely off the bone. Let me finish cutting this rack here. And then we are going to let these cool just a little bit, and I'll have someone come taste them and you can see their awesome reaction. And again, these don't have any barbecue sauce on them, just some brown sugar and apple juice when we wrapped them up to make that nice sticky soft outside that's super delicious. Okay, here are 2 of the racks of ribs cut up and ready to go, and I've got my lovely assistant Kelsey here who's gonna taste it on camera and tell you all about it. These are not sauced, of course.
Delicious.
Delicious? Yes, I wanna give one a shot here. Let's see. Very tender.
It's good.
Oh, this one has a lot of meat on there. I'm gonna snag that one. Okay. Okay, acting. Take one. That's pretty good. That's really good.